everyone, and welcome to Fistful of Feminism. My name is Monica, and today I'd like to unpack my privilege part 2. So as you may have seen in season 1, episode 2, which I will link to right here, I have started to unpack some of my privilege. As I said before, there are many other types of accesses of privileges that I had not even explored yet. So today, part 2, I'm going to unpack some more of my privilege. So thank you to Akina Bubble, who requested a part 2, and everyone else that I talked to that requested a part 2. So this is for you. I have able-bodied privilege. I can walk pretty much everywhere I want to go. I can see everything that I want to see. For the most part, I can hear everything that I want to hear. The world has always been seen as accessible to me, where it is very clearly not accessible to everyone. There are many forms of able-bodied privilege, but we often seem to forget that people who are not able-bodied do have a place in the feminist movement. I think the very most important part about this privilege is accessibility. When was the last time that you observed in every building that you go into if that building has a wheelchair ramp? I try my very best to walk through the world and examine just how many places are completely accessible to different accesses of identities. And of course, my findings are not great. For most of my life, I have had thin privilege. I can walk into almost every clothing store and find something that fits my body type. I've been told throughout my life that my size is ideal. I've had many encounters with women telling me that they wish that their body looked like mine. This is so body negative and sad that we live in a society where somehow my body is more important and better looking than anyone else's body. This really helps fat phobia fester. And while there's nothing wrong with me being a little bit thinner or nothing wrong with anyone who is thin, that type of body is put on a pedestal in the hierarchy of bodies in our Western society. Of course, I've said most of my life I've had thin privilege, but when changes did happen in my body and I changed sizes from what society deemed to be acceptable to what society deemed as curvy, I found it was a lot harder to find clothes that would fit me, and that's when people think that it's okay to make statements about your health based on how you look on the outside. Here's a trick for anyone. You cannot tell someone's health by looking at them. You don't know if that person is dealing with depression, with anxiety. You don't know if they are overweight or if they're on different medications. You don't know. So stop judging people based on what they look like on the outside and start loving people no matter what size they are. And fat phobia. Again, for most of my life, I have had class privilege. I fall somewhere in the middle class. I have never really had to worry about money, but I've also never really had a plethora of it, which means for me, money has never really grown on trees. But I have never lived in extreme poverty. I have always had options. And because of some of the privileges that I talked about in my last video, specifically white privilege, even in times of hardship for me, I am more likely to be able to find a job over a woman of color. Does this seem right to you? Now I'd like to talk a little bit more about my white passing privilege. While I take a lot of the privileges away from being visibly white, that doesn't mean that I have full white privilege. I pass as white. I am actually half Filipino. So what this means is that my privilege is a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more complicated. If anyone suspects that I am anything other than white, aka they look at me and say, you look a little bit different. And once I am outed, whether that's someone who suspects that I'm not completely white, or I say myself, I am a Filipino woman, then I become instantly exotified. Oh, I thought you looked a little bit exotic. Ooh, yeah, your eyes look really, really different. What? A little bit of that is some scientific racism, thinking that there is one specific look for a racialized group. Just because I am visibly white does not erase my Filipino identity. So in that way, white passing privilege gives me privilege and doesn't give me privilege simultaneously. Exactly what we talked about in the first video. It's really important to note that things like this are complex and more nuanced than a black and white scenario. Now again, it is so important to deconstruct your privilege And like I said, I have so many different axes of privilege, and as intersectional feminism and anti-racist feminisms continue to do more research, I may find that I have much more axes of privilege than I originally thought. Understanding that all of this unearned privilege that I have simply because of the hierarchies that we create in Western culture, it's not fair. Examining our privilege is one of the most important things that we can do as feminists and just as good people. Because honestly, we are not living in a just society where all of these privileges are a thing. Let's deconstruct that shit! And on that note, I'm going to end Unpacking My Privilege Part 2. You like my tea turtle shirt? If you want to look as fly as me, you can head on over to Tea Turtle and get a shirt just like this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you again to Akina Bubble for requesting the part 2 to this video. I'm so happy that you liked the first one, and now here's the part 2 for you. If you like, you can subscribe and go there and da. I hope that I'll be doing a video about this soon, but if I don't get to before the actual date, Canadians, go vote. And I'll see you guys not next Friday, but the Friday after that. Okay, bye.